Let's
So
do
about
it. You
9
ready,
o'clock.
Ginny?
Yep.
9 o'clock, we should get started. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining SDA Seattle. We are so grateful to have you with us today. We are recording today's session, and we'll distribute the link to registration people afterwards. We've been uploading them to our YouTube channel so that you can rewatch this later in case you miss a point. So you don't have to frantically take notes. You can rewatch this later and catch up on anything you miss here. Please mute your microphone if you're not actively talking so that we don't have to hear dogs and garbage trucks and such in the background. I am going to turn the presenter mode over to Emily to start with here. And Emily is going to introduce our presenter today.
Yay!
You have control. Take it away.
Okay. I'm really excited to introduce our Ginny today. Ginny offers vast experience in project management and project administration. She works closely with our project managers here at Bernardo Wills Architects and our steering committee, updating protocols, best business practices, and updating and creating forms, contracts, and internal tracking systems. Ginny assists project managers in all phases of our projects, keeping documents and communications moving smoothly, providing version control, and bringing order to project management processes. She is certified in construction quality management for contractors and is a certified instructor with the Professional Association of Diving Instructors, so she knows how to have fun too. So let's welcome Ginny.
Thank you very much.
And she's my neighbor too. I get to see her every day.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready for me to take over and do some talking?
You do some talking, girl.
Okay, I'm going to do some talking. The presentation outline is going to start with the introduction and then the overview process of how we started doing forms and revising forms and figuring out what we needed. And then I'm going to get into some nitty-gritty details of a Word form that I have and also a couple Excel forms. And then, of course, the last one is questions and ideas. And the reason I titled this Standardizing Without Limitizing is not only because I like to have fun, but also because putting in place something in the office where we try to be uniform can be very resistant and scary to people, and rightly so, because they don't want to be limited to just doing one thing one way all the time. And so that's why I put in the limitizing, because we don't want to squash ownership or people's creativity. So I'm going to start with the introduction of myself. My name is Ginny Edwards, and there's my email. I'm a senior project administrator here at Bernardo Wills Architects, and I'll probably refer to it as BWA. I've been in the industry for 26 years, and I started out as a word processor many years ago in an engineering firm, and they had the best word processing team there that I've ever since come across, and they taught me so much about formatting documents and all sorts of stuff, and that's really helped me throughout my career. Okay, excuse me. The overall process started out, there's two things that happen, excuse me, is we set up a steering committee, and I also did a survey. But
so Ginny, is this, can you give a little bit of background about kind of what, when you started your position and how you maybe brought up this standardizing procedures?
Sure. One of the things that when I was hired, we had a lot of different things going on with forms, and people couldn't find ones, so they were making one up and they didn't like it. And so one of the things that happened, I was hired, and then we decided to have a committee assigned to really work on this, and it was with the approval of the upper management. And that's a very key component of any real change, I believe it always starts and works well top down. If you're on the lower rungs and you're trying to make changes and pushing it up, it just doesn't seem to work. So you've got to have management backing you, and because it does cost money, people are spending time creating stuff and having meetings. So if you don't have management, it's not really going to work. And so part of the steering committee consisted of different people from different areas in the firm. Some were the upper management owners of the firm. Some were project managers, very senior. Some were new project managers. There were people that were not architects or engineers. They were admin people, myself, and a couple other people. And it's key to have people from different aspects, because everybody uses forms. Either they're receiving them, they're utilizing them, making them, sending them to others, but everything is basically some form or another. And so we need everybody involved. And then with that steering committee, we assigned a chair or a lead person, and that was really important because that person kept pushing the agenda and setting up meetings and following up, and that was very key. And then we also assigned a person, it was me, to actually create the forms. And that's a very key item too, because you need somebody who's well versed with Word and Excel or PowerPoint or whatever the other documents are that you want to have created. And I think it's good that one person did all of them, versus having one person doing all the Word documents and then somebody else doing all the Excel documents, because it creates a uniformity between all of them. And then we met a couple of times, and then what I did was I started off with some of the forms that we already had, some of the basic ones that were in Word, the agenda, the facts, the sign-in sheets, just some basic ones that we already existed. And I took those forms and I made 5 or 6 different types of look of them. And then we had the steering committee vote on which one they liked best. And then that was the kickoff point to start implementing the visual look of the forms that already existed. And alongside the track of doing this steering committee and forms, we also did a survey, and that survey was for everybody who managed projects, whether they're a project manager or not, and asked them what was working well, what they could have help with, or what they think is not working well. And that was also very important, because if something's not working well, then we need to change it, but also it probably involves communication. So how do we communicate between one sector to another? And that probably involves a form. And so that was very instrumental in figuring out new forms that we needed to create. And we also communicated a lot with everybody in the office. And I think that's part of the not limitizing on people, because we're not shoving anything down anybody's throat. We're asking them for input. They knew it was coming. They know what we're doing. They got to see samples of it. And we asked key people to try them out and see how they worked. And we have had really positive reactions to that from everybody. And that's important, to engage everybody and have everybody feel important and part of the process, because they are. And then we put the forms into well, I skipped a step. Once we got approval of what kind of format look we wanted, then there were some key forms that we needed the steering committee to review and do updates on and that kind of stuff. A lot of the standard ones they didn't need to see. We didn't need to bog down the whole system with excuse me, with looking at every single form and voting on every single form. And that also was a key component that our chair decided, you know, we don't need to see everything. We just need to see certain key ones. And that helped the process move. And then we put the forms in a place for everybody to be able to go and look at and get and start using it. And then we asked people to use them and we asked for input. And we've gotten quite a bit of input. I still am waiting for more input and, you know, implementing some of the stuff that people have suggested. And then finally, if it's alive, it's not static. So we've got to keep modifying and updating and moving forward and asking for input. It just doesn't stop. And if you think you're done and nothing else needs to be done, then you're fooling yourself. And so it's an ongoing process. Because even the forms that I show you today have ideas on how to improve them and have gotten input for improving. So nothing stays the same.
Ginny, from start to finish, well, I guess from start until now, about how long was this process?
I was hired back in September, and the steering committee had already just been formed and was started, and so they already had the chair set and the people that they wanted to invite already set, and that was really nice for me to come in and have that organization already set. So I would say we were hoping to roll out things the first of the year. So that'd be September, October, November, December, January, 4 to 5 months. And we didn't quite make it into January, but we were rolling out, I think, at the end of January, 1st of February, most of the forms. Some of the stuff had already been given out, but the bulk of it was probably close to around February.
Thank you. And then Judy had a question. Are you planning on talking about how to protect these forms so people don't mess them up with their grubby little hands?
Yes, I can talk about that, particularly for Excel. So yeah, I'll be glad to do that. So let's go on to the details. And the first one I have is the Word form, and you can see it on the screen there. And if I can take control, I'll pull up my Word document, show you a few of the things that I did. Even though it's a simple form, there's things that you don't see.
Okay, I'll hand her over.
Okay, let me see. I've been made presenter. I'm going to share. Let me see, I'm going to share. Nope, I don't want to share that one. Yeah, I want to share that one. Okay. Okay, can you see my Word document that says agenda?
Yep.
Okay, well, excuse me, I had to take a drink. This is a pretty basic form, right? And pretty much, let me make it a little smaller. And everybody would use something similar to this, either agenda or meeting minutes or something. And some of the key things is, and some of you guys may already know this, whatever kind of font you use or what you want to do with it, bold it or make it bigger, it's always based on what's called the normal template. And if you look up at the top, it says normal right there. And my normal is Arial 10 right now. And it's important to change your normal template into whatever font or whatever the basic style of this document is going to be. Because if you cut and paste another document into it, or if you just highlight, like we're just going to highlight this, right? And we're like, we don't use Arial, right? We're going to use, Courier New. And then somebody else uses this, and then they go to add something, and they're like, well, wait, this font looks different, right? That looks like Arial, or that looks like Courier, but this down here looks like Arial. And so that's because it went into normal font. So if to change it, you go up here to styles, click on this little arrow. There's my normal, okay? And if you kind of hold highlight over it, it shows you what the normal template is, that everything is based on Arial 10, 10 point, you know, blah, blah, blah. So let's say I want to change it, and let me get out of that. And I want to change it to be bold, and I want it to look like that, Courier New. Then I would go up here, normal, right click, and say update to match this section, right? I want it to be that. Now everything now that's based on normal changes to that.
So this is a way to no matter who opens the form to fill out the form, it's going to have the same look because the form has this style like all throughout, right?
Yes. And you can change it. Let me go back. Okay, here's my original one. Let's say we are going to type something here and we're like, you know, we want that bold too. You can still make it bold. You can make it bold. Oh, you know what? This is so important. I'm going to make it 16. You can still do that. It doesn't, but it's based on the normal. So it's going to stay Arial font unless you change it. You can also change it. And so that's basically one of the things up here, agenda items, that's actually, I made that a header. And I changed the color on that one. But I didn't want to get too fancy because most people don't know how to make like a header or header 2, header 3. And so the point of this form is to make it really easy for people to keep stuff looking, you know, the same and with uniformity and not have something weird pop up in the middle of their document that's a completely different font and looks really weird. The other thing is this is a text box up here, or this is a table that I put in, and I like the fact that I made it all stays on the upper part of the row. So if I keep typing and I want to, you know, do another row, it stays the same. You see the top part stays with that. And that's because on the table format, it's listed as being, let me see if I can find it, layout. If you see up here in the corner, it's left justified in upper. But look what happens if I say, you know what, I want it all to be on the bottom part of the, there, I'll do that. Now see what it looks like. These, because there's lots of lines, right? But the title of this cell, title of this is down here. And it just kind of looks messy to me. So I'll go back up, I'll make it all there. And now, even though this is blank, and somebody else comes in and starts typing and wants to use this form, they don't have to worry about justifying something or making this up high or down low. I don't know, it just makes it easier for people to make it look neat without having to put a lot of effort into it. And
so Kurt has a question. Does BWA have a customized, defined normal style that everyone automatically defaults to? Chuckle. Or
yeah.
is the customized, defined normal style only on Word documents that you use, Ginny?
Good question. We are trying to normalize it into Arial 10.
No pun intended.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to make a big effort on forms, because the forms, a lot of them originated from another company, like, oh, that's a great form, we'll start using it. And we'll just put in our header, you know, our logo in the header. And while it's a great form, it has a different, that one might be Times Roman, and then we find another form from another firm that we really like, and that's, you know, Arial, or that's Courier, or that's something else. So all the forms are different because we got them from a different place or somebody developed them. And so what we're trying to do is just make things more uniform for people. So right now, no. Arial 10 is not used on every document everywhere in our firm. You know what, it probably never will be, but somewhere along the line we had used Times New Roman or Times Roman, and then we've switched to Arial. And I don't know if Times Roman was all that uniform either. And this is something that's never going to be completely all uniform into Arial 10.
Oh,
But,
don't say that.
well,
Let me
you
have
know,
hope.
well, you know what? Different documents may need something different. They need tiny font, or they need, you know, something that fits in a certain, you know, a certain location on the form or on something. So, I mean, there's room, to me, there's room for flexibility, but I think a standard is a standard, and we should use a standard. And then if we need to deviate from that, that's my opinion.
Sherry asked, do you capture data entered into a database? Sherry, can you clarify that question for me?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, we have a lead form that we, you know, enter information in, and it would just be really cool. See, I don't have these really nice fancy forms or anything. We just do everything by hand, not electronically yet. But I want to get it all electronic, and I would like to be able to enter the information into the lead form. And then if the lead becomes a project, then all that information is automatically moved over into a project form, you know, that we print off that goes into each file that we would expand on information as it goes along. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it makes sense to me, and that is, Excel works really good for that. And so let me go, oh, it's 12:23. Let me go on to cost estimate, which is in Excel. Let me see. Okay.
Harry says that they used to use tables in their forms, but then run into problems with people needing to add lines, but they've since locked it to protect formatting. Yes, I had that issue too when, as office manager. People didn't quite know what to do with a table in Word.
Yeah.
And
Word is difficult because you can't hide a row or hide a column. You have to delete it or leave it there. So it's more cumbersome. I mean, there's ways to get around that, but the most people don't. Most people doing a basic table, they don't know necessarily or want to learn because they're too busy, you know. And I understand that. They want to like how to combine these two parts of the row into one giant row, and there's a lot of stuff like that. So yeah, Excel works really well, and Excel has a lot of options for limiting formatting and still letting people manipulate it a little bit. So and I'm showing right now a fee summary, and I'm not going to spend much time on this one because I really want to go to the schedule in Excel, and I think this is going to help. Was it Sherry that asked about pulling over data and information? I think some of the stuff will be really helpful to her, and also, if I have time, I'd like to show a project info sheet, which has information in it that when you're starting a project, you fill it out, and then maybe it can be used later when you really get the project and that kind of stuff. So this is a fee summary, and this is for estimating costs.
is this a new form? We didn't have one like this, right? This is a new one developed? by the committee?
Well, this is one that's we had, but I've added more stuff to it and made it user-friendly, more user-friendly than the one we had. And as you can see, it has people's positions up here. And everybody gets $999 an hour, which is great. Sorry, Gretchen. And this fee summary doesn't always work for every job because you're not doing it by hours. But let's say you have a job and you want to know how much you think it's going to take to, how much it's going to cost, how many hours. And so down here I have meetings, or you can also put CAD. CAD, we know we're going to have a BIM CAD technician spend 10 hours, you know, and all these other people, and it's going to come out to 179,000. And, or you can say, oh, that's too much. Let's get rid of, you know, let's not let these people work on it. Okay, now that's better. That's within my budget. Do I think I can do these things in that amount of time? So this schematic design phase, for instance, it adds up. It takes the total amount in this column for this schematic design, 20 hours times that rate. And if we wanted a markup here, I have a spot here for that. We don't really do that because we're not marking up our own hours because we already have it the burdened rate. And it also totals up the hours down here. And let's say, for instance, we want people to use this, but we don't want them to like completely change it. We can go up here, and this is, oh, I'm sorry, it's up here in review, protect sheet.
So Judy, this is for you, protect sheet.
Yeah, protect sheet. Or the workbook, there's 2 tabs. So it could be the whole, however many tabs you have, or just this one. So I'm just doing just this one, protect. And I do have these protected, but I don't have a password. So you can, you know, you can unprotect it if you want. But it's easy so you don't accidentally delete something. So that's why I like to protect them. And this
So what does that
says,
mean? Can you still go in and edit them?
if it's protected, here's your parameters. Okay, so if it's protected, what do I still want people to be able to do?
Oh, okay.
I want them to be able to work in unlocked cells. I want them to format cells. I want them to format columns or insert rows and insert columns. Yeah, let's do that. But do I want them to be able to get into locked cells? No, I don't. So I'm going to say, okay. Did I have any? Yeah, see, now I'm trying to, oh, you know what? I'm going to change the rate on these people. I can't do it because it's locked. But over here, they can type in here. They can do how many hours. Oops, that's not an hour with an F. So the formulas still, you see, they can't get in here and change those. So
can you show us, Ginny, how you designated the locked cells versus non-locked?
Sure.
That was
pretty. That's a good one. Let me go back. Let me go up here, review, unprotect. Okay. When I was creating this, everything you want somebody not to be able to mess with, so you want it protected, you highlight it. I don't want anybody to mess with my formulas here, right? My calculations. Let me go to the home page. Okay, up here is a checkbox form. Whoops, let me move this down. Okay, I lost my cheater note I had up here. So you go here, let me see if I can, so used to having the cheater note. I can go to, let me see, format cells. Down
Oh,
here it says lock. I lock that cell. But let's say, you know what, I want people to change, excuse me, I want people to be able to, oh, there it is. There's my icon. It looks like a little lock up there. So I want people to change the title of this, right? No, I don't. Yes, I do. So right now this is unlocked, but here's the formulas in here. My little lock cell is there. So people can't mess with this one. But let me see, let me make this whole thing unlocked. So I can either do it there or I can go here to format cells. Now it's locked. Let me go format cells. See, it's locked. I want to unlock it. So this row, I'm going to make it all yellow so we can tell. That is not locked. But I forgot. Now I'm going to protect my sheet, right? Go up to review, protect my sheet. Oh, I don't want them to be able to select unlock cells. They can only do format. Okay, there we go. Now somebody comes in. Oh, I want to change something. Oh, whoops. Wait a minute.
so they can't even get in there.
Let me unlock. So they can't, yeah, let me do this again. I'm sorry. Let me do that. That's unlocked. And now select unlocked cells. I'm sorry, didn't have that. So I want them to be able to select unlocked cells, right? Okay. Now all the locked ones, they still can't get into. See, I can change my name. And I can't change marketing, right? Oh, fee proposal, I can change that. Oh, I can change even though this adds everything up, I'm going to delete that. I'm going to mess up this whole form. Look at there. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete that whole thing.
Oh no, it's hard to watch.
Now people are adding a lot of time here, but it doesn't change. And then people, wow, we can do all that for 99? We can have millions of hours. So that's, yeah, you do need to hide or to lock the cells. So you can add the lock cell easily on your toolbar. Do you want me to show you how to do that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm going to go to this drop-down box up here on my toolbar. I'm going to go more commands because I don't have enough commands up there. I need more. So there's popular ones. So you can add a popular one. Or I don't think the cell, I should have practiced this because sometimes I might go to all commands. Let me see the cell. You have to remember the name of it. It may be cell or maybe U for unlock cell. So it's most of the time I just look for the little icon because I know what the icon looks like. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. But let me add something else. Let me add, I want to decrease my font size. I use that all the time. So I'm going to highlight that. So I'm going to come over here and add it. But you know what? You can also select where you want to add it. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want it at the bottom. I want to have it right up here next to Format Painter. So I'm going to click below it. See, it's decreased font size. It's going to go in right, I think it's going to go in under thesaurus. Yep, there it is. You can also wait, I wanted to put it up there. Nope, I want it up higher there. And you hit OK, and then we'll see if that font size shows up. Yep, there it is, it shows up. So that's how you do that. So I'm going to go on to the next one that I have. That's a schedule. I'm going to pull this up over here. And this is a schedule. Ooh, I got 10 minutes. This is a schedule. It's made out of Excel. And one of the big problems that I think every firm has is you got to track the budget, but you also have to have a timeline, right? You may have, you know, $1 million, but you don't have a million million years, right? You're gonna make a lot of profit if it's only for 2 months, but you're not gonna make a lot of profit if this goes on for 10 years. So you need a schedule. You need to know, you know, where it is, how much time, how much budget you've used compared to time. So so what are your choices for a schedule? You can either sketch it up real easy on a piece of paper, but nobody has access to it unless you make copies and pass it around. And then how do you update it? Well, you have to redraw it. Or you can have Microsoft Schedule, which is quite expensive. So are you going to buy it for everybody in the office or just 2 people? And then anytime somebody has a schedule, those 2 people do it. And anytime you have an update, those 2 people do it. So that's pretty limiting. So this is one of the new ones that I've made. And this is in Excel. And I'll show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like when it's printed out or whatever. You know, you can see our logo, it's Fancy Pants Factory, here's all the information, and this one is by month. This is like going to be a 4-year project, right? So you can get it all on 4 years. But let me show you, this is the actual document. And so this is one that you would want people, you want some cells locked, like these. All of these are going to be locked, not this one, because you can change it. You can fill out this whole thing and like, holy crap, now it's delayed a whole year. Now I have to redo every single thing written on this thing. No, I don't. I need go up to the first one, 2000, no, starting at 2001. Whoop, now it all went in line. So once, this is really cool. So once, it does take time to load in all the information. But once the information is in there, and if dates change, you only have to do a little bit of formatting. Some of the people in our office, before I created this, and so people are starting to use this now, is they would do Excel and then they'd individually color, you know, go up and color a cell, right, for that month. And then it changes, and then they have to move that yellow cell over here, and then this one goes over there, and they could spend hours doing that. But here, there's 2 ways to do this. Say notice to proceed happened on this day. Here. So my entitlement here is going to start the same as start date. I know it's good, and here's my notes. I know it's going to last 30 days, so I did that plus 30 days. And I know this one here is going to start when the entitlement ends, so it's connected to that. So I did that with all of these here, right? This one down here is just hard keyed in. It's going to start here, and it's going to end here. And so this entails 2 levels of formatting, if you will. One is the if you look inside the cell up here, it has formulas, right? And what the formula says is if there's a date here and a date here, then add whatever number is here. And if I make this font make these real big so you can see. Oh, let me see, did that work? If I make these, that's too big, 10. You can see the numbers now that are in there. Those are 2s because I have a 2 there. That's a 3. That's a 3 there. That's a 4. That's a 4 there. So, so that's one level of formatting. The other level of formatting is conditional formatting, which is up here. That means you can't see it. It's not written anywhere, but what it says is if there is a 2 here, anywhere there's a 2, we're going to color it rust. Anywhere there's a 3, we're going to color it this color, which is that. And so those are the 2 levels of conditioning. See up here, I'll show you.
And then Ginny, would you change some dates so that they can see how automatically the bars change?
Yes, good
Thank you.
idea. So on these ones, remember they're connected. These are standalone. And right now this works because this is going to end 7/1 and this is going to start, right? But like, oh, brother, we're not going to start until, not February. We're going to start in January, February, March, April. Let's say April, okay? Then these automatically changed and they automatically moved over. And now it's going to end here, but if this is static, this didn't change. So now there's a problem. So now maybe you want it to start when this one ends. But let's say, oh, I didn't estimate this right. It's not going to be 60 days. It's going to be 90 days. No, it's going to be 100. It just moved over. And this one, which starts at the end of that, automatically went there. So the project manager didn't have to spend hours moving all these little dots over and all these little things over. And let's say this one starts at the end of that, but you know what? It's not 30 days. This is going to be 400 days. Whoops, not 4,000. Now watch, that line is going to get really long. Just like that. But let's say phase duration, let's say we don't want this phase duration. Let's call this completed. This is just our little notes on what we want these to mean. So we're down here now in design development phase. We've done all the pre-design, right? So now I can change all these colors to 1. Whoop. And that signifies all of those because that's what I want to call that gray. I want to call that there. We can write a bunch of notes here, but we don't want the client to see those notes, so you just hide it. And we're giving this to the client, let's say, but we're not sure of the date, so we don't want them to see all the dates, but you don't want to delete it. So all you do is go up here and make that white. So you don't want them to see these, see this row, you can hide it. And you can also add, let's say you want to use this for the client and you want to use it for your interior team. So you could say, I want Matt to work on CAD. I want Julie to do this. And you can put in dates. I'm just going to copy these dates, right? I'm going to do this. I want both of those to, well, that's way off on this. It's not showing because it's 3 years from there. And so now I have this for my interior team, but I'm going to give this to the client, so I'm going to hide these rows. And now I can hit print. So I've got one schedule that I can show to the client. I can manipulate the dates easily. I can show it to my interior team. So it works for many different uses for many different people. And
so Ginny, can you explain for us one more time how the numbers in the bars, how those are connected to the colors and
sure. So I'm going to, there's little teeny numbers, they're 0.2. I've got got to end here pretty quick, but
you can keep going. I think we're asking questions kind of as we go.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So the formula, as you can see up here, there's a formula. The formula puts the 1s in or the 2s. We use this row. for instance. Whoop, I hid my own row, own column. Okay, unhide. So I want this row. I'm going to put yellow right here so I can make sure I know which row I'm talking about. Okay, I made this a 1. And so the formula says if there's a 1, I'm going to do it gray, but I want to make it a 5. And a 5 right now is black. And you can see those numbers because they're not 9.9 instead of 0.2. So that's the written formula. And when I protect the sheet, all of this stuff, let me make this black again. Not this cell, but all these other cells are going to be locked. That's going to be locked too, because that is connected to that. And this is that plus certain many, days. So everything's connected to the other, and this is the primary one for the date. And so if you see this formula, okay, I'll do it down here. It's saying if this and this have dates in them, then add whatever in this cell. And then the conditional, now the coloring, that's conditional formatting. So if I go up here, I'll go to manage rules. These are conditional rules. And you can see my rules right here. And let me see, let's say I want to, well, that's current set for the whole worksheet, right? I want to add a new rule. So it goes over everything, not just what I've highlighted, but everything. I can either add a new rule or I can edit this, right? Right now, I'm like, you know what? I don't like that light gray. I'm going to edit it. And so that cell is equal to number 1. Anything that has number 1, it's going to look like this. I don't like that gray. I'm going to change it. So I'm going to go up here to fill. And I love purple. I'm going to make it purple. I can also add a pattern style too, but I'm not going to do that right now. And I'm going to say, okay. And do I need to do any other ones? I'm just going to stick with that one. And now this was made for this whole worksheet, not just the cell I'm in, but the whole worksheet. I'm going to apply and say, okay. So these didn't change. That's because this is just symbolic to let you know what color you're choosing. And you can title these yourself. And so I have to change that one. I made that purple, so I'm going to make that purple. So now everything with a 1 goes purple. So let me look at any other questions.
Let's see. Oh, Judy was wondering if we could share the Fancy Pants file without it being locked so she could play with it.
I would be glad to email all of these out and share them with you. And if you, and they may be locked, but there's no password. You just go to review, protect, or if I'm out here, go, I'm in somewhere else, go back to review, unprotect. There's no password.
Awesome.
One of the things that was interesting in particular about the schedule development is the architects needed it to look a certain way, and we wanted to make it really functional. So kind of marrying that function with how it looked, I think probably Ginny wanted to tear her hair because, every time, she made it super functional and they were just like, I don't like those colors. They were focusing on one thing and she was focusing on another, but I think she ended up with a really beautiful and functional solution. And really, once you get started and we knew how to use it, it was super easy to use. and fun to play with, you know, okay, so yeah, if this takes us 4,000 days, how long will my line get? I mean, I think we got a little distracted at first with, you know, just kind of playing with it.
Yeah, thank you for that, Gretchen. And and remember, you can always, with Excel, you can always hide stuff. And you can hide rows, and you can hide, like, if you wanted to, you only, maybe this goes out, let's say this goes out to 800. Okay, you know, I don't want to show that much, or, you know, that's the only one that's going, so I'm going to hide all of 2022 because nothing else is happening. I just want to show the end, you know, starting in the end, because I want it all to fit on one page or whatever. And you know, I wrote, oh, before we go, I'll let you know, I wrote a how-tos in this thing here. And I don't know how helpful they are, because I already, you know, by the time I spent all this time making this, I already knew all this stuff. So I'm trying to remember what would somebody need to do. So if you guys want, if you want, and I can send you this, you can try these out and say, hey, those how-tos really did help. Or, and I would really like to have suggestions on, yeah, that was great, but we need to add 8, 9, and 10 suggestions or something.
Awesome. Ginny, do you think with our last 5 or so minutes, we could look at that project data sheet for sharing?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Let me pull that up. Okay.
Doggies.
Yeah. So here is a project data sheet. This is a good communicator between a project manager and the accounting, so we can get the correct information into accounting for invoicing and all that stuff, which is very important. This is pretty much a lot of the questions I worked with our accounting department. What information does she need? Client name, client this, client that. This is actually protected, so you can't change the word client company name, but you can add stuff in there. Whoop, I just did something. And up here is the contract amount. It's locked because you put the information down here. So you fill out your budget, right? And it adds it all up. You can hide rows. Well, I can't right now because it's protected. And down here's the bottom line. Now it's 15,250. Now it changed up here. And one of the things you can do, oh, and it also has marketing, because marketing needs to do, so PM can say, oh yeah, this is an airfield, yeah, and it's a barracks. Marketing people need that. And then project vitals, when you close out the project, we need all that information. And here's the data sheets where it pulls, here's the name of our employees you can select and all that kind of stuff. But if you tailor this to whatever your needs are, and you're starting a project or a lead, you could fill this out for lead and have standard stuff you always, let me unprotect this, review, unprotect. Maybe you don't, maybe you want a contract amount, but maybe right now it's not billable, right? Because it's lead. And project type, we drop down, you could have it say lead or whatever. You could change a lot of these things to fit whatever you have. And it would be a standard form that has the basic stuff that you always need. And you can have some blank stuff right, you know, here, or you can have different lines that are just blank, you know, for additional information.
Would any of the information that you entered in be captured somewhere else then for analysis, or like on that marketing page, that the 3.0 marketing, when you selected airfield or whatever other items on there that might be applicable to that particular project, is that captured somewhere else?
No, this is not.
Okay.
But I have something, and I don't have time to show it, but I have something that I've created that you fill it in, and then it has a pivot table that captures all that information and tallies it all up.
Well, I'm drooling. I really like
Oh, thank you.
another thing that you share, or I could understand if you didn't want to share it, because that's a beauty.
No, I talked with Emily, and we can share everything. There's nothing in here that's proprietary. We don't have names of projects or clients. We don't have,
Yeah, I would love that.
We'd love this form here.
Well, just that whole data thing, yeah.
And the one with the pivot table too, Ginny.
The one with the pivot table, I have to do, yeah, I can send that out. I'll change people's names and stuff on it, fake names. But yeah, I can totally send that out too.
Awesome. Okay, we're almost done here. Ginny, wow, you really showed off today. That was pretty
Oh, thank
fun.
you. Thank you very much. I'm so appreciative and very grateful that you invited me, and humbled that you would be interested in some of the funky stuff that I've been doing.
These are great. These are great. Gives me lots of ideas for our forms at my office too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love doing forms. I love making up this kind of stuff.
Kurt said, you got a side hustle, Ginny, with project templates for sale.
Right.
I think there are a lot of firms out there.
For $999.
Yeah.
No, that's your hourly, Ginny.
Oh, that's my hourly. That's right.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
No, I'm glad to share, and I think BWA would be glad to share and help other people. And why invent the wheel when you can just make it better, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Do those templates already exist for you, like before you came along, or did you like create them all from scratch? Because in our company, we have templates for certain documents, and then if you were to create like a template from scratch, you would have to be have the logo at certain size and have certain sections filled out already. Is that something that you used your creativity for?
I created on my own the schedule and the project info sheet on my own. I invented them, if you will, but it wasn't the schedule was out of thin air. The project info sheet, I'd seen forms of different types of those kind of things, and I just took all those ideas and threw them all into one. So
That's a grand project.
One of the steps, I can't remember if it was before the survey or after, was Ginny kind of just bravely put out an all call to the whole staff about, if you've got a form you love that you've seen, send it to me. And so she kind of developed, a library of things and there were some that we had that we knew we were going to use, and some that were just like wish list items. And so that was kind of fun too, is to see what people were using, what they thought would be functional, and how we could BWAize it. So.
Yeah, and that's that non-limitizing thing. People have to be comfortable enough to send you something that they've been using, because they don't want to be ashamed or shamed for it, or that it's not good enough, it looks funky. But also they want to have confidence that, hey, you could take what I have, basically leave it alone and update it a little bit, and you're good to go. And people have been giving me some of the things that they've been using, and I just update it to the standards, the font, the color, put our logo on, add some formatting things, maybe add some more formulas so it works better, but I don't change it. It basically looks the same. So, and that was honorable to me, that people would feel comfortable to give me something of theirs, and no, I won't wreck it, but make it look more with the right colors and the logo, So.
Awesome. Okay, Carrie, should we close up?
We should, yes. Ginny, thank you so much. If Emily or Ginny, if you guys want to send those over to me, then I can just include the sample documents with the link to the recording, and that way you've got it all in one tidy little package, since I have all the emails. All right, well, thank you everybody so much. It's top of the hour. Thank you so much for spending your lunch hour with us. I sure learned some new tricks, and I thought I was pretty good in Excel, but I just learned some new things I'm super excited about. That is it. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you guys soon. Ginny, thank you so much for your time. We really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.